The Lord's judgment on Asia. 2 Kings chapter 1. After Ahab's death, Moab rebelled against Israel. Now Ahaziah had fallen through the lattice of his upper room in Samaria and injured himself. So he sent messengers saying to them, Go and consult Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron, to see if I will recover from this injury. But the angel of the Lord said to Eliah the Tishbite, Go up and meet the messenger of the king of Samaria and ask them, Is it because there is no God in Israel? Then you are going up to consult Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron. Therefore this is what the Lord says, You will not leave the bed you are lying on. You will certainly die. So Eliah went. When the messengers returned to the king, he asked them, Why have you come back? A man came to meet us, they replied, and he said to us, Go back to the king who sent you and tell him, This is what the Lord says. Is it because there is no God in Israel? Then you are sending messengers to consult Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron. Therefore you will not leave the bed you are lying on. You will certainly die. The king asked them, What kind of man was it who came to meet you and told you this? They replied, He had a garment of hairs and had a leather belt around his waist. The king said that was Eliah the Tishbite. Then he sent to Eliah a captain with his company of 50 men. The captain went up to Eliah, who was sitting on the top of a hill, and said to him, Man of God, the king says, Come down. Eliah answered the captain, If I am a man of God, may fire come down from heaven and consume you and your 50 men. Then fire fell from heaven and consumed the captain and his men. At this, the king sent to Eliah another captain with his 50 men. The captain said to him, Man of God, this is what the king says. Come down alone at once. If I am a man of God, Eliah replied, May fire come down from heaven and consume you and your 50 men. Then the fire of God fell from heaven and consumed him and his 50 men. So the king sent a third captain with his 50 men. The third captain went up and fell on his knees before Eliah. Man of God, he begged, Please have respect to my life. Consumed the first two captains and all your men, but now have respect for my life. The angel of the Lord said to Eliah, Go down at him, do not be afraid of him. So Eliah got up and went down with him to the king. He told the king, This is what the Lord said. Is it because there is no God in Israel for you to consult, and you have sent a messenger to lead the god of Ekron? Because you have done this, you will never leave the bed you are lying on. You will certainly die. So he died according to the word of the Lord that Eliah had spoken. Because Ahaziah had no sons, Joram succeeded him as king in the 2nd years of Joram, son of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah. As for all the other events of Ahaziah's reign and what he did, they are not in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel. Eliah taken up to heaven. Chapter 2. When the Lord was about to take Eliah up to heaven in a whirlwind, Eliah and Elisa were on their way from Gilgal. Eliah said to Elisa, Stay here, the Lord has sent me to Bethel. But Elisa said, As sure as the Lord lives and as you live, I will not leave you. So they went down to Bethel. The company of the prophets at Bethel came out to Elisa and asked, Do you know that the Lord is going to take your masters from you today? Yes, I know, Elisa replied. So be quiet. Then Elisa said to him, "Stay here, Elisa. The Lord has sent me to Jericho." And he replied, "Sure as the Lord lives, and as you live, I will not leave you." So they went to Jericho. The company of the prophets at Jericho went up to Elisa and asked him, "Do you know that the Lord is going to take your master from you today?" "Yes, I know," he replied. Yes. So we cried. Elisa said to him, "Stay here, the Lord has sent to the Jordan." And he replied, "As sure as the Lord lives and as you live, I will not leave you." So the two of them walked on. 50 men from the company of the prophets went and stood at a distance, facing the place where Eliah and Elisa and 50 men from the company of the prophet went and stood at a distance, facing the place with Eliah and Elisa had stood at the Jordan. Eliah took his cloak, rolled it up, and struck the water with it. The water divided to the right and to the left, and the two of them crossed over on dry ground. When they had crossed, Elisa said to Elisa, "Tell me what can I do for you before I am taken from you. Let me inherit a double portion of your spirit." Elisa replied, "You have asked a difficult thing." Eliah said, "Yet if you see me when I am taken from you, it will be yours, otherwise it will not." As they were walking along and taking together, suddenly a chariot of fire and horses of fire appeared and separated the two of them. And Eliah went up to heaven in a whirl. Elisa saw this and cried, my father. The chariot and horsemen of Israel, and Elisa saw him no more. Then he took hold of his garment and tore it too. Elisa then picked up Eliah's cloak that had fallen from him and went back and stopped on the bank of the Jordan. And Elisa saw him no more. Then he took hold of his garment and tore it in two. Elisa then picked up Eliah's cloak that had fallen from him and went back and stood on the bank of the Jordan. He took the cloak that had fallen from Eliah and struck the water with it. "Oh, now is the Lord, the God of Eliah," he asked. When he struck the water, it divided to the right and to the left, and he crossed over. The company of the prophet from Jericho who were watching said, "The spirit of Eliah is resting on Elisa." And they went to meet him and bowed to the ground before him. "Look," they said, "we, your servants, have 50 able men. Let them go and look for your master. Perhaps the spirit of the Lord has picked up and let them go and look for your masters. Perhaps the spirit on the some mountain or in some valley." "No," Elisa replied, "no, do not send them." But they persisted until he was too embarrassed to refuse. So he sent them, and they sent 50 men, who searched for 3 days but did not find him. When they returned to Elisa, who was staying in Jericho, he said to them, "Didn't I tell you not to go healing of the water?" The people of the city had said to Elisa, "Look, our Lord, this town is well situated, as you can see, but the water is bad and the land is unproductive. Bring me a new bowl," he said, "and put salt in it." So they brought to him. So they brought it. Then he went out to the spring and threw the salt into it, saying, "This is what the Lord said, I have healed this water. Never again will it cause death or make the Lord unproductive. And the word hasn't remained pure to this day, according to the Elisa had spoken. Elisa is Gilead. From there, Elisa went up to Bethel. As he was walking along the road, some boys came out of the town and Gilead at him. Get out of here badly, they said. Get out of here badly. He turned around, looked at them, and called down a curse on them in the name of the and then he went on to Mountain Carmel, and from there returned to Samaria. Moab revolts. Chapter 3. Joram, son of Ahab, became king of Israel in Samaria in the 18th years of Jehoshaphat, king of Moab revolts. Chapter 3. Joram, son of Ahab, became king of Israel in Samaria in the 18th years of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, and he reigned 12 Moab revolts. Chapter 3. Joram, son of Ahab, became king of Israel in Samaria in the 18th year of Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, and he reigned 12 years. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord, but not as his father and mother had done. He got rid of the sacred stone of Baal that his father had made. Nevertheless, he clung to the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he had caused Israel to commit. He did not turn away from them. Now Mesa, king of Moab, raised sheep, and he had to pay the king of Israel a tribute of 100,000 lambs, and the wool of 100,000 lambs. But after Ahab died, the king of Moab rebelled against the king of Israel. So at the time, King Joram set out from Samaria and mobilized all Israel. He also sent this message to Jehoshaphat, king of Judah: the king of Moab has rebelled against me. Will you go with me to fight against Moab? I'll go with your people. I'm sure am as you are, my people as your people, my horse as your horse. By what route shall we attack? He asked. Through the desert of Edom, he answered. So the king of Israel set out with the king of Judah and the king of Edom. After a roundabout march of 7 days, the armies had no more water for themselves or for the animals with him. What exclaimed the king of Israel? Has the Lord called us, the three kings together, only to deliver us into the hands of Moab? But Jehoshaphat asked, is there no prophet of the Lord here, through whom we may inquire of the Lord? An officer of the king of Israel answered, Elisa, son of Shaphat, is here. He used to pour water on the hands of Eliah. Jehoshaphat said, the word of the Lord is with him. So the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat and the king of Edom went down to him. Elisa said to the king of Israel, why do you want to involve me? Go to the prophet of your father and the prophet of your mother. No, the king of Israel answered, because it was the Lord who called us three kings together to deliver us into the hand of Moab. Elias said, as sure as the Lord Almighty lives, whom I serve, if I did not have respect for the presence of your Sabbath king of Judah, I would not pay any attention to you. But now, Elisa said, as sure as the Lord Almighty lives, whom I serve, if I did not have respect for the presence of your Sabbath king of Judah, I would not pay any attention to you. But now bring me a harpist. While the harpist was playing, the hand of the Lord came on Elisa, and he said, this is what the Lord says, I will fill this valley with pools of water. For this is what the Lord says, you will see neither wind nor rain, yet this valley will be filled with this is the uneasy things in the eyes of the Lord. He will also cut down every good tree to stop up all the other right. You will overthrow every fortified cities and every major town. You will cut down every good tree, stop up all the springs, and ruin every good field with stone. The next month, about the time for offering the sacrifice, there it was water flowing from the direction of Edom, and the land was filled with water. Now all the Moabites had heard that the kings and had come to fight against all the Moabites had the kings had come to fight against them. So every man, young and old, who could bear arms was called up and stationed on the water. When they got up early in the morning, the sun was shining on the water. To the Moabites across the way, the water looked red like blood. That's blood, they said. Those kings must have fought and slaughtered each other now to the populous Moab. Now all the Moabites had heard that the king had come to fight against them, so everyone, young and old, who could bear arms was called up and stationed on the border. When they got up early in the morning, the sun was shining on the water. To the Moabites across the way, the water looked red like blood. This is blood, they said. Those kings must have fought and slaughtered each other now to plunder Moab. But when the Moabites came to the camp of Israel, the Israelites rose up and fought to them until they fled. And the Israelites invaded the land and slaughtered the Moabites. They destroyed the towns, and each man threw a stone on every good field until it was covered. They stopped all the springs and cut down every good tree. Only Kir-Hareses was left with each stone in place, but men armed with slings surrounded it and attacked it. When the king of Moab saw that the battle had gone against him, he took with him 700 swordsmen to break through to the king of Edom, but they failed. Then he took his firstborn son, who was to succeed him as king, and offered him as a sacrifice on the city wall. The fury against Israel was great. They withdrew and returned to their own land. The widow's olive oil. The wife of a man from the company of the prophet cried out to Elisa, your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that he revered the Lord, but now his creditor is coming to take my 2 boys as slaves. Elisa replied to her, how can I help you? Tell me, what do you have in your house? Your servant has nothing there at all. She said, except a small jar of olive oil. Elisa said, go around and ask all your neighbors for empty jars. Don't ask for just a few. Then go inside and shut the door behind you and your sons. Pour into all the yards, and as it is filled, put it to one side. She left him and shut the door before and behind her and her sons. They brought the yards to her, and she kept pouring. When all the yards were full, she said to her son, "Bring me another one." But he replied, "There is not a yard left." Then the oil stopped flowing. She went and told the man of God, and he said, "Go sell the oil and pay your debts. You and your sons can live on what is left." The Sunamit's son restored to life. One day Elisa wanted to Sunem, and a well-to-do woman was there who asked him to stay for a meal. So whenever he came by, he stopped this to eat. She said to her husband, "I know that this man who often comes our way is a holy man of God. Let's make a small room on the roof and put it in a bed and a table, a chair and a lamp for him. Then he can stay there whenever he comes to us." One day when Elisa came, he went up to his room and lay down there. He said to his servant, "Gehazi called us Sunamite night." So he called her, and she stood before him. Elisa said to him, "Tell her you have gone to all this trouble for us. Now what can be done for you? Can you speak on your behalf to the king or the commander of the army?" She replied, "I have a home among my own people. What can be done for her?" Elisa asked. Gehazi said, "She has no son and her husband is old." Then Elisa said, "Call her." So he called her, and she stood in the doorway. About this time next year, Elisa said, "You will hold a son in your arms." "No, my lord," she objected. "Please, man of God, don't mislead your servant." But the woman became pregnant, and the next years about that same time, she gave birth to a son, just as Elisa had told her. The child grew, and on a day he went out to his father, who was with the reapers. He said to his father, "My head, my head." His father's servant carried him to his mother. After the servant had lifted him up and carried him to his mother, the boy sat on her lap until noon, and then he died. She went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God. Then shut the door and went out. She called her husband and said, "Please send me one of the servants and a donkey, so I can go to the man of God quickly and return." "Why go to him today?" he asked. "It is not the new moon or the Sabbath." "That's all right," she said. She saddled the donkey and said to her servant, "Lead on. Don't slow down for me unless I tell you." So she set out and came to the man of God and Mount Carmel. When he saw her in the distance, the man of God said to his servant Gehazi, "Look, there is the Sunamite. Turn to meet her and ask her, 'Are you all right? Is your husband all right? Is your child all right?' 'Everything is all right,' she said. When she reached the man of God at the mountain, she took hold of his feet. Gehazi came over to push her away, but the man of God said, 'Leave her alone. She is in bitter distress, but the Lord has hidden it from me and has not told me why.' 'Did I ask you for son, my lord?' she said. 'Didn't I tell you? Don't raise my hopes.' Elisa said, 'Gehazi, tuck your cloak into your belt. Take my staff in your hand and run. Don't greet anyone you meet, and if anyone greets you, do not answer. Lay my staff on the boy's face.' But the child's mother said, 'As sure as the Lord lives as you live, I will not leave you.' So he got up and followed her. Gehazi went on ahead and laid the staff on the boy's face, but there was no sound or response. So Gehazi went back to meet Elisa and told him, 'The boy has not awakened.' When Elisa reached the house, there was the boy lying dead on his couch. He went in, shut the door on the two of them, and prayed to the Lord. Then he got on the bed and lay on the boy, mouth to mouth, also eye to eyes. hands to hands. As he stretched himself out on him, the boy's body grew warm. Elisa turned away and walked back and forth in the room, and then got on the bed and stretched out on him once more. The boy sneezed 7 times and opened his eyes. Elisa summoned Gehazi and said, "Call the Shunammite," and he did. When she came, he said, "Take your son." She came in, fell at his feet, and bowed to the ground. Then she took her son and went out. Thus in the fat, Elisa returned to Gilgal, and there was a famine in that region. While the company of the prophet was meat with him, he said to his servant, "Put on the large pot and cook some stew for this prophet. If one of them went out into the fields to gather herbs and found a wild vine and picked as many of each gourds as his garment could hold. When he returned, he cut them up into the pot of stew, though no one knew what they were. The stew was poured out for the men, but as they began to eat it, they cried out, 'Men of God, there is death in the pot,' and they could not eat it. Elisa said, 'Get some flour.' He put it into the pot and said, 'Serve it to the people to eat,' and there was nothing harmful in the pot. Feeding of 100. A man came from Baals Salishan, bring the men of God 20 loaves of barley bread baked from the first ripe grain, along with some heads of new grain. Give it to the people to eat." Elisa said, "How can I set this before 100 men, his servants?" But Elisa answered, "Give to the people to eat, for this is what the Lord said, they will eat and have some left." Then he set it before them, and they ate and had some left over, according to the word of the Lord. Naaman healed of leprosy. Chapter 5. Now Naaman was commander of the army of the king of Aram. He was a great man in the sight of his master and highly regarded, because through him the Lord had given victory to Aram. He was a valiant soldier, but he had leprosy. Now a band of raiders from Aram had gone out and taken captive a young girl from Israel, and she served Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, "If only my master would see the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy." Naaman went to his master and told him what the girl from Israel had said. "By all means, go Naaman went to his master and told him what the girl from Israel had said. "By all means, go." The king of Aram replied, "I will send a letter to the king of Israel." So Naaman left to take with him the letter and said, "I go to, can I kill and bring back to life? Why does this fellow send someone to me to be cured of his leprosy? See how he is trying to pick a quarrel with me." When Elisa the man of God heard that the king of Israel had done his doves, but he sent so Naaman went with his horse and chariot and stopped at the door of Elisa's house. Elisa When Elisa the man of God heard that the king of Israel had torn his robes, he sent to him this message: "Why have you torn your robes? Have the man come to me, and he will know that there is a prophet in Israel. So Naaman went to his horse and chariot and stopped at the door of Elisa's house. Elisa sent a messenger to say to him, "Go wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored, and you will be cleaned." But Naaman went away angry and said, "I thought that he would surely come out to me and stand and all on the name of the Lord his God, wave his hand over the spot and cure me of my leprosy." Are not Abana and Paba the rivers of Damascus better? Naaman's servant went to him, and, "My father, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing to him, would you not have done it? How much more than we when we tell you, wash and cleanse?" So he went down. The Naaman always attended. Then Naaman and all his attendants went back to the man of God. He stood before him and said, "Now I know that there is no God in all the world except in Israel. So please accept a gift from your servant." The prophet answered, "As sure as the Lord lives, whom I serve, I will not accept a thing." And even though Naaman asked him, he refused. "If you not," said Naaman, "please let me, your servant, be given as much as earth as a pair of mules can carry. For your servant will never again make burnt offering and sacrifice to on the 어지럽다." 내가 to bow there also when I bow down in the temple of Rimmon. May the Lord forgive your servant for this. Go in peace, Elisa said. Rimmon, may the Lord forgive your servant for this. Go in peace, Elisa said. After Naaman had traveled some distance, Gehazi, the servant of Elisa, the man of God, said to himself, "My master was too easy on Naaman." Hurried after Naaman. When Naaman saw him running toward him, he got down from the chariot to meet him. "Is everything all right?" he said. "Everything is all right," Gehazi answered. "My master sent me to say 2 young men from the company of the prophet have just come to me from the hill until Always take 2 talents, said Naaman. "Here's Gehazi to accept them," and then tied up the 2 talents of silver in 2 bags. With 2 sets of clothing, he gave them to 2 of his servants, and they carried them ahead of Gehazi. When Gehazi came to the hill, he took the things from the servant and put them away in the house. He sent the men away, and they left. When he went in and stood before his masters, Elisa asked him, "Where have you been, Gehazi? Your servant didn't go anywhere," Gehazi answered. But Elisa said to him, "Was not my spirit with you when the man got down from his chariot to meet you? Is this the time to take money or to accept clothes, or olive groves and vineyard, or flocks and heads? Is this time to take money to accept clothes, or olive groves and vineyards, or flocks and herds, or male and female slaves? Naaman's leprosy will cling to you and to your descendants forever." Then Gehazi went from Elisa's presence, and his skin was leprous. It had become as white as snow. On X-head plot. The company of the chapter 6, the company of the prophets said to Elisa, "Look, the place where we meet with you is too small for us. Let us go to the Jordan, where each of us can get a pole, and let us build a place there for us to meet." And he said, "Go." Then one of them said, "When you please come with your servant," Elisa replied, and he went with them. They went to the Jordan and began to cut down trees. As one of them was cutting down a tree, the iron axe head fell into the wet. "Oh no, my lord," he cried out. It was broad. The man of God asked, "Where did it fall?" When he showed him the place, Elisa cut a stick and threw it there and made the iron float. "Lift it out," he said. Then the man reached out his hand and took it. Elisa's traps blinded Arameans. Now the king of Aram was at war with Israel. After conferring with his officers, he said, "I'll set up my camp in such and such a place." The men of God sent word to the king of Israel, "Beware of passing that place, because the Arameans are going down there." So the kings of Israel checked on the place indicated by the man of God. Time and again, Elisa warned the king so that he was on his guard in such place. This enraged the king of Aram. He summoned his officers and demanded of them, "Tell me, which of us is on the side of the king of Israel?" "None of us, my lord the king," said one of his officers. But Elisa the prophet, who is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the very words you speak in your bedroom. "Go find out where he is," the king ordered, "so I can send men and capture him." The report came back, "He is in the Jordan." Then he sent horses and chariot and a strong forces. Then they went by night and surrounded the city. When the servant of the man of God got up and went out early in the next morning, an army with horses and chariot had surrounded the city. "Oh no, my lord, what shall we do?" the servant asked. "Don't be afraid," the prophet answered. "Those who are with us are more than those who are with them." And Elisa prayed, "Open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see." Then the Lord opened the servant's eye, and he looked and saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire and around Elisa. As the enemy came down toward him, Elisa prayed to the Lord, "Strike this army with blindness." So he struck them with blindness, as Elisa had asked. Elisa told them, "This is not the road, and this is not the seat. Follow me, and I will lead you to men you are looking for." And he led them to Samaria. After they entered the city, Elisa said, "Lord, open the eyes of these men so they can see." Then the Lord opened their eyes, and they looked, and there were inside Samaria When the king of Israel saw them, he asked Elisa, "Should I kill them, my father? Should I kill them?" "Do not kill them," answered. "Would you like to? Those you have captured with your own sword or bow. Set food and water before them so that they may eat and drink and then go back to their masters." So he prepared a great feast for them, and after they had finished eating and drinking, he sent them away, and they returned to their great feast for them. And after they had finished eating and drinking, he sent them away, and they returned to their masters. So the bands from Aram stopped raiding Israel's territory. Famine besieged Samaria. Sometime later, Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, mobilized his entire army and marched up and laid siege to Samaria. There was a great famine in the city. The sieges lasted so long that a donkey had sold for 8 shekels of silver, and a quart of cam of seed passed for 5 shekels. As the king of Israel was passing by on the wall, a woman cried to him, "Help me, my lord the king." The king replied, "If the Lord does not help you, where can I get help for you? From the threshing floor, from the winepress." Then he asked her, "What's the matter?" She answered, "This woman said to me, 'Give up your son so we may eat him today, and tomorrow we'll eat my son.' So he cooked my son and ate him. The next day I said to her, 'Give up your son, we may eat him.' But she had hidden him." When the king heard the woman's word, he tore his robes. As he went along the wall, the people looked, and they saw that under his robes he had sackcloth on his body. He said, "May God deal with me, be it ever so severely, if the head of Elisa son of Sabat remains on his shoulders today." Now Elisa was sitting in his house, and the elders were sitting with him. The king sent messengers ahead, but before he arrived, Elisa said to the elders, "Don't you see how this murderer is sending someone to cut off my head?" Look, when the message footsteps behind him, while he was still taking to them, the messenger came down to him. The king said, "The disaster is from the Lord. Why should I wait for the Lord any longer?" Chapter 7. Elisa replied, "Hear the word of the Lord. This is what the Lord says. About this time tomorrow, a seah of the finest flour will sell for shekel, and 2 sheaves of barley for shekel at the gate of Samaria." The priest on whose arm the king was leaning said to the man of God, "Look, even if the Lord should open the floodgates of the heavens, cloud this happen. You will see it with your own eyes," answered Elisa, "but you will not eat any of it." The siege lifted. Now there were 4 men with leprosy at the entrance of the city gate. They say to each other, "Why stay here until we die? If we say we'll go into the city, the famine is there and we will die. And if we stay here, he will die. So let's go over to the camp of the Arameans and surrender. If they spare us, we live. If they kill us, then we die." At dusk they got up and went to the camp of the Arameans. When they reached the edge of the camp, no one was there, for the Lord had caused the Arameans to hear the sound of chariot and horses and a great army. So that they said to one another, "Look, the king of Israel has hired the Hittite and Egyptian kings to attack us." So they got up and fled in the dusk and abandoned their tents and their horses and donkey. They left the camp as it was and ran for their lives. The man who had leprosy reached the edge of the camp, entered one of the tents, and ate and drank. Then they took silver, gold, and clothes and went up and hid them. They returned and entered another tent and took some things from it and hid them also. Then they said to each other, "What we were doing is not right. This is a day of God's news, and we are keeping it to ourselves. If we wait until daylight, punishment will overtake us. Let's go at once and report this to the royal place." So they went and called out to the city gatekeepers and told them, "We went into the Arameans' camp, and no one was there, not a sound of anyone, only tethered horses and donkeys, and the tents left just as they were." The gatekeepers shouted the news, and it was reported within the palace. The king got up in the night and said to his officer, "I will tell you what the Arameans have done to us. They know we are starving, so they have left the camp to hide in the countryside, thinking they will surely come out, and then we will take them alive and get into the city." One of his officers answered, "Haven't some men take 5 of the horses that are left in the city? Their flight will be like that of all the Israelites left here. Yes, they will only be like all these Israelites who are doomed. So let us send them to find out what happened." So they selected 2 chariots with their horses, and the king sent them after the Aramean army. He commanded the deliverer, "Go and find out what has happened." They followed them as far as the Jordan, and they found the whole road strewn with the clothing and equipment the Arameans had thrown away in their headlong flight. So the messengers returned and reported to the king. Then the people went out and plundered the camp of the Arameans. So 3 of the finest flour sold for shekel, and 2 seeds of barley sold for shekel, as the Lord had said. Now the king had put the officers on whose arm he leaned in charge of the gate, and the people trampled him in the gateway, and he died. Just as the man of God had foretold when the king came down to his house. Itamar, the man of God, had said to the king, "About this time tomorrow, a seah of the finest flour will sell for shekel, and 2 seahs of barley for shekel at the of Samaria." The priest had said to the man of God, "Look, even if the Lord should open the flood gate of the heavens, could this open?" The man of God had replied, "You will see it with your own eyes, but you will not eat any of it." And that is exactly what happened to him, for the people trampled him in the gateway, and he died. Second King chapter 8. The Sunamite land restored. Now, on chapter 8, now Elisa had said to the woman whose son he had restored to life, "Go with your family and stay for a while wherever you can, because the Lord had decreed a famine in the land that will last 7 years." The woman proceeded to do as the man of God said, and she had and her family went away and stayed in the land of the Philistines 7 years. At the end of the 7 years, she came back from the land of the Philistines and went to appeal to the king for her house and land. The king was taking to Gehazi, the servant of the man of God, and had said, "Tell me about all the great things Elisa has heard." Gehazi said, "This is the woman, my lord the king." And he This is her son, whom Elisa restored to life. The king asked the woman about it, and she told him. Then he assigned an official to her case and said to him, give back everything that belonged to her, including all the income from her, and then from the day she left. Hazael murders Ben-Hadad. Elisa went to Damascus, and Ben-Hadad, king of Aram, was ill. When the king was told, the man yes, take a gift with you and go to meet the man of God. Consult the Lord through him. Ask him, will I recover from this illness? Hazael went to meet Elisa, taken with the will I recover this illness? Elisa answered, go and say to him, you will certainly recover. Nevertheless, the Lord has revealed to his own beloved began to weep. His day started at him with a fixed gaze until Hazael was embraced, and the man of God began to weep. Why is my Lord weeping? Asked Hazael. Because I know the harm you will do to the Israelites. Yes, you will set fire to their fortified places, kill their young men with the sword, dash their little children to the ground, and rip of your open their pregnant woman. Hazael, how could you, servant of Miato, accomplish such a feat? The Lord has shown me that you will become king of Aram, answered Elisa. Then Hazael left Elisa and returned to his master. When Ben-Hadad asked, what did Elisa say to you? Hazael replied, he told me that you would certainly recover, but the next day he took a thick cloth, soaked it in waters, and spread it over the king's face, so that he died. Then Hazael succeeded him as king. Joram, king of Judah, in the 50th year of Joram, son of Ahab, king of Israel, when Jehoshaphat was king of Judah, Joram, son of Jehoshaphat, began his reign as king of Judah. He was 32 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 8 years. He followed the ways to the kings of Israel as the house of Ahab had done, for he married a daughter of Ahab. He did evil in the eyes of the Lord. Nevertheless, for the sake of his servant David, the Lord was not willing to destroy Judah. He had promised to maintain a lamp for David and his descendants forever. In the time of Jordan, Edom rebelled against Judah and set up its own king. So Joram went to Jair with all his chariot. The Edomites surrounded him, and his chariot commanders, but he rose up and broke throughout by night his army, however, fled back home. To this day, Edom has been in rebellion against Judah, Libnah revolt at the same time. As for the other event of Joram's reign and all he did, they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah. Joram rested with his ancestors and was buried with them in the city of David, and Ahaziah his son succeeded him as king. As king of Judah, in the 12th year of Joram, son of Ahab, king of Israel, Ahaziah, son of Joram, king of Judah, began to reign. Ahaziah was 22 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 1 year. His mother's name was Athaliah, a granddaughter of Omri, king of Israel. He followed the ways of the house of Ahab and did evil in the eyes of the Lord, as the house of Ahab had done, for he was related by marriage to Ahab's family. Ahaziah went with Yoram's son of Ahab to war against Hazael, king of Aram, and Ramoth Gilead. The Arameans would Yoram. So King Yoram returned to Israel to recover from the word that the Arameans had inflicted on his Ramoth in his battle with Hazael, king of Aram. Then Ahaziah, son of Jehoram, king of Judah, went down to Israel to seek Joram, son of Ahab, because he had been wounded.